Hey guys, welcome to the second video in my Carval reading vlog series, I guess you could call it. So in this one, obviously it's the second video, we're reading Legendary. And I am so excited for this video because the last book ended on a cliffhanger of a sort. You know, you just really want to dive into the next one right as it ends. Super excited to read this. This video has a lot of different fun things. I have a fun little book haul for you guys. I actually started a book journal as well. My dog. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and jump right into the little book haul. So this past weekend, when me and my husband went on our little getaway, we went to Austin, went to several different bookstores just because he's the best, he knows I love them. So we went to, actually 3, one of them, like neither of us got anything there. Actually, he didn't get anything at any of them, but the first place I didn't get anything there because it was really, really cute, but it was like a lot of like older books and they were like so beautiful, but yeah, just not something that I'm wanting to read right now. And I feel like if I read them, I might be in a reading slump. So first we went to the one that we didn't get anything at. Then we went to this one called Book People, which was so cool. It was technically 3 stories, but you're only allowed to go on 2 of the stories because I think third is probably like storage or something. I was looking around. I was so sad because I was getting close to finishing Caraval and I have to read the next book like immediately. I was like looking all around the store for it. I found this little section of Stephanie Garber. Oh my gosh, they don't have it because it was only The Ballad of Never After and Caraval. But I then found the rest of the section. Obviously I got Legendary. I'm actually started reading it the other day, which I'm only 30 pages in. The initial parts of these books are kind of hard for me to get in and like stay into, but like while I'm reading it, I'm having a great time. It's just that I don't have that feeling of I have to read this book. But also I've just been really busy the past few days, so I haven't had a lot of time to just sit down and read, which I think is what I need to really get into it. And then obviously if I got that one, I had to get Finale because I had to complete the trilogy and I didn't know when I was going to be out by a Barnes & Noble again next, so I want to just have all 3 on hand. I always love like searching through the covers to try to find the ones that are like the least scratched up or like handled, and they just are so pretty to me. They're just so pretty. So I got those 2, and then after that we went to a Barnes & Noble, and I've been looking around everywhere for this book. I think it's called The Haunting of Aveline Jones, something like that, but it looks so good. It's a middle grade horror book, but I've heard that it's like super, super good, very, very fall-esque, but they didn't have it, which was so sad. So instead, I ended up getting Coraline because, believe it or not, it's a middle grade, which obviously like it's super short. It says 8 and up on the back of the book. If I watched that movie at 8 years old, I would have been terrified, traumatized even. I mean, somebody trying to sew buttons on your eyes? That's scary. But I got this book because now, obviously, I'm not 8. And I love Coraline. It's a very comfort fall movie for me. And then lastly from Barnes & Noble, I got The Lonely Hearts Book Club by Lucy Gilmore, which I've actually never seen anybody talking about this. I found it on the shelves and I was like, that just looks so cute. And I've kind of been in the mood for a like literary fiction book. Sorry, I thought I saw a spider. I think like in January of last year, I read this book called Meredith Alone, and I don't know how it never got really big, but I just loved it so much. Like it was so good. And so I've been just kind of craving a book that's going to give me that sort of feeling. And so I thought maybe this one would, but this one's about this girl named Sloane Parker. She lives in a small town. Oh, that's so sweet. I didn't even realize that's what this is about. She is this librarian and she doesn't ever think of herself as lonely, but she always looks forward to this like particular old man to come in, browse through the library shelves, and one day he doesn't come. So she starts getting worried about him and she finds him and he's like bedridden. And so then she starts making this book club to help cheer up his life, and it just brings lonely misfits together to help cheer up this guy. And that is just the sweetest thing ever. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to read this book. And that's my fun little book haul. Definitely a lot of different vibes. Yeah, super pumped about them. It's been a few days days since I filmed anything, and that is because I have been outrageously sick. Yeah, got some sort of stomach bug, and it was just the worst, I think, stomach bug I've ever had in my life. I threw up 15 times in one day. It was just miserable. So in the past few days, even though I've been just like sick in bed, it's been the kind of sick where my head hurts, you know, you don't want to sit and read, which is very rare for me. So in that time, I just binge watched Gilmore Girls and just slept. But I'm feeling back up to reading. I will say I'm almost to night 1 of Caraval in this book. That's about 88 pages in, not too far. But I find this one really hard to get into, and I remember like the beginning of the other one kind of being slow going, and I'm trying to remember at what point it started picking up for me, and I think it was once like Caraval started going. So I'm really hoping that it's the same. And I think also part of it is just that I haven't like got to sit down and read a big chunk of it all in one sitting because of just the nature of being so sick. Yeah, I don't really have many other plans. It's a Saturday. I'm just gonna read for a while. Tonight is a fun stay-at-home night. We're gonna play board games and make sweet potato fries and dinosaur chicken nuggets, because what else are you gonna do when you're young and married? I got my book, and I have this little orange drink. Hopefully start feeling better. So right here, I got about 50 pages into the book that I was reading and decided that I was not in the mood to read anymore. And I wanted to try my hand at book journaling because I just wanted a more aesthetic way to track my reads and to be able to have another creative outlet, because I love writing and I love reading, but I also wanted something that was kind of just mindless to do while watching BookTube. Speaking of which, I'm watching Katie is Reading. Her book journaling videos are amazing for inspiration and just all the vibes. I decided to kind of go for a intro to autumn feel, which I will talk more about later. As you can see, my approach to this journaling session was to just watercolor and layer as many scrap pieces of paper and art pieces that I could to make it look hopefully like a journaling spread. Right about here, my husband came home and surprised me with a autumn basket, and it just made my day, as you can clearly see. Hello.
Hello.
What? What?
Yeah,
Hello. Look at this.
I got a box.
I do know these books. I have the first one.
Goodreads. I saw your Goodreads.
Oh my gosh, this is the best surprise of my life. Look, you got me Dead Romantics, Before Your Memory Fades, the Tales from the Cafe. Then there's some Ollie Pops, Fall Candles, and Pumpkin Spice Tate's cookies in this cute little basket. This is so cute. Days since I've recorded anything, but the sickness has just been kicking me in the butt, and I don't know, I've had the hardest time getting into this second book. I don't know if it's just the first half, because I'm at the halfway mark right now. I think part of it is just when I get sick, sometimes my brain fog is just so bad that I've just found myself rereading the same paragraphs over and over and being like, what is happening right now? So I think it's partially my fault, but at the same time, I just want to be able to get lost in the story, and I've been reading this book for what feels like forever. So I really just want to like finish it. Between this book and finale, I want to read just a palate cleanser of like some easy to read little happy middle grade or something, because I feel like my brain is melting. But also because I've been sick, my house has just become kind of a disaster, so I really need to clean. And I've also been having a lot of fun making bread recently, and I just used up the last that I'd made previously. I'm debating if it's too late to start, because it takes a while once it starts rising, and it's like 6 o'clock right now. I'm gonna do the math and we'll see. But I'm gonna clean up my kitchen, and Keaton got me flowers, so I'm gonna put those into like a little vase and make them all cute. But I'm probably just gonna do that while listening to my audiobook. I've been listening to Little Women. It's a comfort read, so I'm gonna go do that and then read some. I really wanted to finish this book today, but I know I have half the book left and it's already like 6 o'clock. That's not gonna happen, but I'm hoping I can finish within today and tomorrow. While I make this bread, I decided it would be a good opportunity to just chat about my thoughts. A little over halfway through the book, I think something changed between page 200 and 300. Somewhere in there, I found myself getting more and more invested in the book, and it was kind of sad that it took me almost 200 or 300 pages to really get into it. Partially though, I think that is on me because I was just sick and not in a good reading headspace, but I did find that I was caring more about the characters. For a while, I didn't really like the romance in the book. I just couldn't find myself caring about Tella's relationship with Dante, and I think it was partially because it just kind of felt more like physical attraction than the emotional side of things that ended up coming into play around page 200 and 300. While we wait for the bread to rise, I will now give you guys a little flip through of the reading journal that I've been working on. This is a notebook that I am now turning into my book journal. We're just going to test it out, see how it goes, but I knew I wanted to have one that had these little bullet journal style pages, which I thankfully already had this one, and I'd kind of just been using it to keep track of my reads in a very, very simple way. Obviously this is 2022. Yeah. And then here we have my September opening title page, I guess. I don't really know what to call it. I have a lot of different layering. I kind of just wanted to look sort of fall-esque, kind of vintage, but this is kind of, I think, hinting towards autumn in my opinion. I have a movie ticket to go see Little Women back from 2020 that I found in my art bag, which was super cool because this was when I went and saw it with my mom back then, and it was just a super fun memory. And then on this page I have my autumn TBR. This is not just for September because personally, this is way too many books for me for 1 month. A lot of these I talked about in my fall TBR video. And then right here I have my series tracker. I'll find that oftentimes I will start the first book in a series and then start reading other things and just completely forget to finish it. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I was running out of ideas, so I kind of just stopped there. But I have been looking on Pinterest and I have a bunch of new ideas, the different things I want to do and make. So as I make those, I will kind of put them in my videos if that is interesting. That's what I've been working on. We were out of oat milk, so I had to use regular milk, which is fine. I'm glad we had milk of some sort so I could make coffee. All right, so this was a journey, this book right here. And I would be lying if I said that the ending didn't have me close to tears. Not quite there, not quite crying, but definitely had me in my feels for a bit. I feel like I don't even know how to talk about this book because I had just such vastly different experiences reading it from the start to the end. The start was so hard for me to get into. I think I just didn't really connect with Tella. It's sad because I don't know, I like her character, but I just don't think I related to her as much as I related to Scarlett in the first book. And then I'm also more of a sucker for the sweet, emotional sort of connection relationships as opposed to the like dark, angsty, broody kind of relationship that was Tella and Dante. Also, I opened to like page 230. It took me this many pages to like really get into it. And I know I was sick and brain fogged. I wish I could know if I would have had the same experience if I was completely healthy versus just being sick, because by the end, like, I was fully wrapped up in the world. I was fully wrapped up in the character. Also, the world building is another thing too with this story that was a lot harder for me because they were in like an entire kingdom. But I will say the ending had my mind totally blown, and now I'm just like, I just don't even know at this point what the next book is even gonna hold, because honestly it could be anything. I need to read this book very soon because I really want to know what happens, but I also felt like my mind just needed a break, so I decided to read A Monster Calls, and I thought it was like gonna be a fun little spooky book, but it's very sad. Fair warning if you are gonna try to read that book. Anyways, back to Legendary. I loved the ending. Final thoughts on Legendary. I've had the hardest time trying to decide what I'm gonna rate this book. I would say this one is probably like a 3.5 for me. I'm really hoping, because I think, in this one, you get back to Scarlett and Tella's perspectives, which I think is gonna be really cool. That's my review and thoughts so far. So I'm really hoping that finale will hide it all up very nicely. Yeah, that's my review for Legendary. Welcome back to our fun little diva time. I'm reading out of Matthew 13 today, just talking about the parable of the sower, particularly in verse 20. It says, "As for what is sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while. When tribulation or persecutions arise on account of the word, immediately he falls away." It's really easy to believe when life is good and when things are good. But then the second something goes wrong or our plan starts to crumble, then we're immediately turning away from God, saying, "How could you let this happen? This is not my plan. I don't know what you're doing here, but this is not it." So then we turn away and we end up withering. But if you're a Christian, we are told that life will not be easy, and that if you are a Christian, you are to expect trials to come. And actually, if you're a Christian and you're not experiencing trials and you're not experiencing these kinds of spiritual warfare, then you're probably not living the life that Jesus has called us to live, or at least living it boldly. I get convicted of this a lot, actually, because I'm a peacemaker and I love things to just feel calm and soothing and cozy. And I think that's kind of reflected on my channel so far. I just love everything to feel peaceful and for there to not really be any conflict. But that's not the kind of life we're called to live. If we're living for the Lord, then the enemy's gonna want to stop us. He's gonna want to put things in our path and keep us from living the life that we're supposed to. I just want to encourage you guys that if you're facing those hardships or if God feels far away, don't fall away on account of that or on account of you feel like God doesn't see you. I just encourage you guys to find a space this week where even if things are crazy and you feel like your life is falling apart, to find a quiet space that you can be alone with the Lord and just talk with him. Be in his presence, read his word, let him fill you up. So yeah, that's our little Devo today. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. My dog, his ball is actually stuck under one of our carts, a little kitchen cart, I don't know. So I'm gonna help him get that before he loses his mind. I'll see you next week in another video, or you can follow me on Instagram at my corner of the world. See you guys later. Bye.